lizard, 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 lizard.
Can you help me?
This is Pixar's terrible handling of Elio. And the movie we could have gotten. I can see this one being another room splitter, maybe. But nonetheless, I'm afraid to say that I think this is on the lower end of Pixar original efforts. Not quite to the same degree as The Good Dinosaur, just completely forgettable. Which makes a lot of sense, as both productions were the biggest messes for Pixar behind the scenes. And in the case of Elio, that mess entailed taking the original director's very personal story away from him, chopping the personal bits out because gender and sexuality are apparently things that can't be talked about anymore, resulting in a movie that had all of its depth hollowed out. What could have been a very nuanced exploration of a director's lived experience, which worked really well for the likes of Luca and Elemental, instead came out as a very surface-level exploration of a kid's place in the world. And upon learning all of that behind-the-scenes drama, suddenly, so much of this movie made sense. Although I do think some of the movie's issues were still very present in the beginning. Like, whilst I can see the joins in the edited version, it still seems like they were generally able to swap out Olga's role from a mum to an auntie pretty easily due to her lack of screen time, which seems to be a problem for the movie considering it's trying to emotionally center itself on Elio's relationship with her. So what went wrong here? Because the box office numbers certainly indicate that something did go wrong. Let's take a look, shall we? We begin with Pixar boasting a really crisp visual of Earth. Presumably boasting the fact that they're still capable of those visuals before we head into the cartoony aliens later. Before heading straight into our first bit of dialogue spliced in during the redrafts.
You remember what your mom used to order for you?
Literally the second line of the movie. Because for those of you that don't know, this character originally was his mum. What was originally a story of a mum disconnected from her child by her work is now an aunt. Alright. And as you go through the movie, it's gonna become harder to see why they really bothered with that. I mean, her relationship with Elio never gets impacted by the change of her parentage. I get that you want to make Elio feel out of place, and killing off his parents will certainly assist with that, but there was a whole other story here with a mum and her work-life balance.
I'm with my nephew. I'm trying to get him to eat.
I mean, technically, it is even a different voice actor to when she was his mum, as America Ferrara left after the original director was removed. Already, brilliant start. 3 lines in. Reportedly, it was a mix of her interest stemming from a Latina character with a Latina director, but also there was the whole issue of, you need to re-record all of your mum lines as you're the auntie. Anyway, what I do like about this first scene is at least the framing of this long shot staying under the table with Elio. From this, you immediately know the perspective you're following. But as we cut to the adults, we're inevitably not down there for long as Elio runs away and sneaks into an unopened exhibit.
Hello from the children of planet Earth.
As the room lights up, the exhibit turns out to be about the real-life probe Voyager, which I know not everybody knows about, but I'm already seeing that that could have done wonders in the marketing, so why didn't they use it? Like, imagine if the first trailer began with real footage of Voyager from the actual 70s and led with the premise of, what if Voyager made contact? Keep some intrigue and mystery to the situation whilst baking it into real history. Ironically, Good Dinosaur, a definitely worse movie than this one, actually did have its one-note premise of what if the asteroids missed. It made it way more intriguing for the marketing that way. I'm just saying the marketing needed something, because by God, this movie's campaign had absolutely no zing in it at all. And they gave us 2 versions of the trailer. None of them hooked. And as uninteresting as the alien character designs are later on, I don't think it helped that you revealed all of them in the first trailer. Like, there was no intrigue after that as you gave it all away. Hence why I'm spoiling you now on the character designs, because you probably already know it. Back to the movie itself, I do like that Elio's fascination with space begins with a story that is rooted in reality and our actual history. I'll certainly take that over Hopper's referring to other Disney-owned franchise, Avatar, anyway. And it goes without saying how good the visuals are here. We've known since WALL-E in 2008 that Pixar delivers the goods when it comes to space visuals. Its thematic connection with Elio also fits together incredibly well.
It will drift on, solitary and alone.
There is that inherent tone of isolation to the Voyager probes, and you can really see why that would connect to an out-of-place character like Elio. The promise of wonder and possibilities in these early scenes just makes it a huge shame for what comes later.
Complete its mission, proving we aren't so alone.
The storytelling in this scene is so strong. What a surprise it's in Terrible Elio. We then go to more incredible space shots that look right out of a high-budget documentary. They go so hard, yet like the Good Dinosaur, they contrast it with some wacky cartoon designs. But for this opening sequence anyway, that doesn't matter. The pre-title sequence ends with Voyager being found, along with what they totally should have used in the first trailer. From photorealistic space to photorealistic sand, with Elio now actively on the pursuit of alien abduction. For this, they go for a full wordless sequence of Elio's day-to-day between his quest for abduction and absence of his mum. Auntie! Sorry. Just weird watching this sequence when you clearly have the story of a child with a military mum in mind, but she's called Auntie on post-it notes, so it's different.
How did I get here?
But it's a nice sequence, essentially delivering where this little guy's at. Until...
Are you Elio?
we meet this guy, Bryce, who Elio has invited to steal his radio.
Okay, you can go now.
Go
Followed by another guy who turns up to do 2 annoying tropes within a minute.
to... You almost messed up there.
Where we've got elaborate handshake to make the main character feel estranged, and my favorite, pick up the most important object for no reason and wrestle with main character over it. This is a Pixar script?
Well, just tear these off. Don't touch that.
I was just looking at it.
Until inevitably it breaks and hits Elio in the eye. Eye patch origin story initiated.
Fighting on the beach, skipping school.
She's so annoyed at him going rogue and running off by himself, she leaves Elio unattended in a military base with the door unlocked, to which he proceeds to stay completely stationary where she's asked him to.
Melmac thinks he found aliens.
Well, then maybe it was worth it for that one shot. Meaning he gets to watch his former mum-turned-auntie fold her arms at evidence of an alien signal.
In 1977, NASA launched
The Golden Record.
the Golden Record.
The guy seems pretty unhinged, but then why have they called an emergency meeting over it in the first place? Like, it's the exact same audio clip from Voyager being sent through, and yet this scene plays out like we've seen it so many times before, to leave Elio to do this conveniently set up first contact opportunity, I guess.
I have everything queued up and ready to go. Just say the word.
And luckily for Elio, this employee, whose job it is to monitor space, gets dragged out the room and told he needs to take a week off.
You gotta believe me, Major, please. They're out there.
And they completely disregard what is by all means an actual sign from space. Is it just me or is this orbital monitoring department just kind of terrible?
May I remind everyone that we are orbital analysts.
Who ignore signals from space.
We track space debris, not rogue UFO signals.
So, is there anyone who does track rogue UFOs in this world? It still seems pretty important. Man, if these people were in charge of monitoring space and we were about to get invaded, we'd be screwed. And despite having her status changed to auntie and being a busy general of a space monitoring unit, the one thing Olga can't seem to escape is the confines of the boring mum character who says no to everything. And this is a Pixar script? It's pretty impressive to have still achieved this tired mum archetype, despite all efforts to make her more interesting than that. Deciding not to close the giant sender recording directly into space button that will fry all the station's satellites, Elio instead sneaks out of his bin to take his opportunity.
This is Elio Solis of the planet Earth.
Fun fact, if aliens do in fact monitor radio signals, which all project into space, then some of the first signals they will encounter will legitimately be from a certain Austrian called Adolf. But I'd be surprised if that got covered in the movie. A whole military base brought down because a kid easily snuck into a high security room, hiding in a bin, and a staff team didn't lock or even turn off any of their computers. Glad it's that easy.
I take full responsibility.
I mean, good. You did leave an unpredictable child in an unlocked room opposite the most highly sensitive room in the entire complex. And on to a reason why they may have changed Elio's parentage.
We have to try something different.
Boarding school.
Because I guess they felt it may have made Olga too unlikable as a mum, and it's easy to understand why an auntie who's adopted would look at that option. which is a shame because it feels like a parent struggling enough to resort to that would have been a way more courageous and unique story. It's something that a lot of military parents genuinely have to consider, you know, the over-encompassing nature of their job impacting their family life. It's also true to the original director's actual experience as well, them being raised at military boarding school. But I guess real-life parent choices just don't reflect in animation, and they just had to remove his voice from the movie entirely, so...
Your life isn't up there, Elio. It's down here.
But unfortunately for Olga, all she's done is tell the kid who has actively said he wants to be abducted by aliens because no one wants him here, that she doesn't want him here.
This just isn't how I thought my life would be.
And just to sweeten the deal, the bully from earlier is here to really snap Elio's final straw with the planet.
We got in so much trouble because of you.
Again, I'd say it was refreshing to see a struggling parent making flawed decisions, but she's not his mum, so do whatever, sure, whatever. Nice one, Olga. Send the kid off to bully camp.
Greetings, Earthling. We come in peace.
And once again, leaving this kid in a situation where he can run away, he runs away into the woods where he can be atmospherically abducted. No pun intended. Meanwhile, Olga's at her desk to witness the outcome of what she ignored earlier, whilst texting that outcome's subject, which in turn is another outcome of what she ignored earlier. Now, the abduction sequence itself is really strong though. We've seen the alien overriding technology scene a lot, but it's still impactful here. Particularly with intercutting between that and bullies chasing Elio in the woods. And then to the moment itself, the visuals of the bullies and the droplets frozen around striking the exact atmosphere you want from this scene. Right up to actually going to the alien world, the alien interaction with Earth is absolutely going on the visuals front. It's that contrast of the fantastical interacting with the grounded setting, which you really don't get from alien world sequences usually.
It's happening. It's really happening.
Regardless, the visuals continue with Elio going through this vortex, spectacular stuff in the cinema. And you've got to appreciate, at least conceptually, how none of the alien technology behaves like other sci-fi tropes. There's no flying saucer or anything that seems out of Star Wars. There is a concerted effort to have an original approach. Even with this thing that sounds like it's voiced by Lisa Simpson.
I am a liquid supercomputer.
I've checked and it's not the same voice. It's apparently an actor called Shirley Henderson. Anyway, over to the exposition that this computer's presumably been introduced for.
Welcome to the communiverse.
I guess Galactic Alliance was taken by Toy Story. Not that Lightyear ever showed any of that. I guess we'll make do with this. With this movie, they have a good go at showing different species with completely different biology, which of course asks for more out there character designs. However, the results of that particular experiment are done in the constraints of more cartoon-like approaches that Pixar has gone for recently with Luca and Turning Red.
Welcome.
And so, in the end, is it just me that feels like the characters all have the same vibe? What a shame. But anyway, the results are these things who sort of look like preschool cartoons.
Absolutely ecstatic to make your acquaintance.
Who will also be our keepers to the joke Pixar thought would sell the movie.
Elio, Solis.
Earth?
Shame they put that in a trailer 2 years ago, so any freshness of that half-baked joke is completely absent. Anyway, time to speedrun Elio through the tour of amazing things. Key innovations, such as this.
It's the most beautiful place.
This is the bathroom.
Leading us to the never-heard-before misunderstanding that Elio is the leader.
Leader of Earth.
I think that's been my thing since the trailers. This character gets mistaken as the leader of legend premise just doesn't interest me anymore. It's not even just feature films that I've seen this with. Several different cartoons have an episode with this exact premise. It's such a cliche. And I just don't think it was enough to build a whole new world around. Certainly not a Pixar movie. It probably can still be executed decently, as I'm sure the original cut was, but yeah, even now, watching the movie, I remain disinterested. Almost annoyed at waiting for the obligatory misunderstanding scene where it falls apart and the character goes, "Oh, this was all my fault." I dare you, Elio. But not to worry, we better quickly introduce a villain to this situation as well.
Blood Emperor of Hylerg?
Who has all the finesse of the current US to global affairs.
We believe in tolerance and...
I am tolerant!
Also, if the voice sounds familiar, that is actually because the actor's Brad Garrett, who, as far as Pixar's concerned, is also the voice of Bloat in Finding Nemo. Crazy, he had like a 20-year gap in Pixar roles. And within a minute of his brash introduction, he's threatened the communiverse and left with his explosive villain exit. Cool, that'll do. And this is again one of those unfortunate things where by redoing the whole story and revealing the first version in trailers, something kinda gets lost along the way, because this guy, in the original story, as we saw in the first trailer, was just another already accepted ambassador. He was the quirky, surprisingly intimidating, but overall friendly character that I kind of preferred compared to this, where he's just kind of another generic villain. There's a good newbie and a bad newbie. Like, you know? This feels like one of those things where they clearly tried to force in a conflict, but I feel like I would have preferred a new character addition entirely, because I think the highlight this character really gets is his joke line from 2 years ago.
I ate my mother at birth. Everyone was shocked.
That's a lot more endearing than this wet flannel. Anyway, after that threat, the Communiverse, in an equally timely manner, pull a government shutdown on us too.
We couldn't possibly accept new members.
Return you to your life on Earth just as it was.
But this is one moment where the movie has some more original flair, having a character who actively doesn't want to go back. Usually, this is a situation where a character has unwillingly stumbled into the situation and the plot just keeps them there. Instead, this time we have a character in a predicament that gives him a narrative out, and it's his choices that instead keep him there.
No! I'll do it!
It does give Elio more agency than other protagonists we've seen in similar situations, and as the movie says in clear detail, Elio's off to negotiate to a warlord.
I'm the leader of Earth. I'm the perfect guy for the job.
Right.
There is a myriad of topical jokes I am doing my best to avoid right now. Let's just get to the clone.
That's what cloning clay is for.
Because that's the one thing the trailer didn't already give away. The Communiverse sends in an Elio clone to fill in the gaps on Earth.
Whoa.
With a fittingly derpy creation sequence, followed by a bit of I'm an actor shtick.
So, what is my motivation?
Even got the hand gestures in there. But if you worry this is going to be yet another overdone gag, don't worry, because it's an opportunity to psychoanalyze Elio to spell out his characters to the audience as well. You know, tell, don't show.
Or just stick with the low self-esteem and desperation to belong.
Because I love it when something the audience can work out for themselves is just given to them like that. Whatever, let's get back to the homage to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
I am a universal user's manual.
Completely different.
Would you like to learn the meaning of life now?
42!
42?
Hey, maybe this one says the answer to everything is 37 or something instead. Using that to figure out how to negotiate with a warlord whilst the clone gets to work being a bland imitation who's dropped his interest in space, which Olga seems to prefer.
That's amazing. Good for you.
Well, that's sad. All the while, real Elio finds himself in Pixar's control room for the queer-coded elements of his character.
Confirm or cancel?
Cancel! This kid has enough depth. Look, he has an eye patch. Which was another underwhelming reveal with the bullies earlier, as we could have had a visually impaired character here. But maybe disabilities were also on the shopping list for narrative removal in Pixar's redraft. You covered it enough metaphorically in Monsters University, I guess. That'll do. I do quite like the wide shot of Elio's little pod hitting the ship though. Very much Lego Movies vibes of humor there. As our favourite sanitized character enters Grygon's ship, we have a redo of the Zurg reveal from Lightyear. Seriously, it's pretty on the nose.
This is who the Communiverse sends?
From which we get this sequence of Grygon and Elio shooting flowers together, and it's fine. It's the same light-hearted character who doesn't know what he's talking about, talks to the big scary villain thing we've seen in a bunch of other movies. This script is just full of cliches. Still a surprise, this is a Pixar script.
Why waste your life trying to connect with people who don't get you?
Again, bringing up the Lego Movie, you could insert Emmett into this scene with all the same dialogue, and it would be seamless.
Right? Gry guy?
And then we have this bit where Elio finds himself pretending he's a parent like Grygon, referencing how his aunt has handled him. But you can clearly see this scene was scripted from when Olga was still cast as his mum, in which some of the parallels made a lot more sense.
It's okay. I'm a bad parent too.
What?
And so, cross-referencing his experience with his mum turned aunt, Elio enrages Qui-Gon for criticizing his parents and gets imprisoned.
Show the prisoner to his quarters.
Wait!
Not that his absence would be felt back at home. Olga's fully on board with the version that has even less dimensionality to him, with what I'm presuming was a visual pun.
He's really turned over a new leaf.
There's not much to this scene, beyond one gag where he cuts his finger whilst they're not looking, sticks it back on, and that's the scene. I guess it establishes something. Though you do hear in the throwaway conversation whilst he's doing that the Colonel's impressed with Olga, which is kinda hard to believe. She ignored a weird transmission, left her nephew unattended to the extent that he probably fried millions of dollars worth of equipment, before getting a follow-up signal to reaffirm you should have paid attention to this. But sure, she's doing a great job, because her dealing with the repercussions of that would be too much of a subplot for her. Anyway, back to Elio. And he's got a Dark Knight Rises prison arc to go on.
Your punishment must be more severe.
I mean, it is genuinely the same setup. Elio's in prison to watch the communiverse blow up like Batman and Gotham. With Qui-Gon being Bane, but easier to understand, I guess. But instead of months, it just takes him one skull through and some anti-gravity plot armor to find a way out. Leading him to the classic Die Hard Shaft homage.
Okay, I'll just get back to Qui-Gon.
Genuinely, my first exposure to this kind of scene was in the Garfield movie, with Bill Murray in it. That was years before I discovered what Die Hard even was. Anyway, back to Elio, and this sequence is also very brief. So many obstacles, yet so easy to overcome. What does that say about the pacing of this movie? As he falls into the web of the character who was in so much of the marketing that it's surprising that he's only just showed up now, halfway through the movie. Oh, halfway mark's around here somewhere again. Hello there, thank you for making it to the halfway mark of this video. Come subscribe if you haven't already for more animated terrible movies. There's only a few slots left for 2025, but I'm gonna gun through as many as I can until Christmas. But for now, let's get back to Pixar's terrible Elio. As he falls into the web of the character who was in so much of the marketing, and to be fair, his introduction's genuinely pretty creepy. Until the classic comedy misunderstanding trope. Again, like a classic cliche.
I was just swaddling you because you seemed scared.
Now, this is actually one of the few alien designs I quite like. For a character where you only have a mouth for emotion, they do get a lot of emotion out of this guy. It's also here we get the lowdown on the species and their culture, which explains why there's been some more thought into their design than some of the other weirdos earlier.
I'm gonna look so hot.
Though also, this is, in general, a recycled alien design from the goofy, intimidating sidekick characters, so maybe it just magically worked out that way? Maybe he was the most interesting character, so they expanded him. I guess that makes sense too. And then they flattened him, but sure. Elio then fills his new wormy friend in on the situation, with Glordon returning the favor.
Dad, I thought you knew. I look just like him.
I think it was refreshing, though, not to have this be a big reveal later, considering this had clearly been set up earlier. In fact, they really told us early, as it was all over the trailers instead. Agreeing to be a bargaining chip, we get yet another exchange clearly written in the mum draft.
My dad's finally gonna pay attention to me. Do your parents pay attention to you?
What kind of an asinine question is that?
As well as this nugget of information that would have been more impactful to hear from the horse's mouth.
Gave up being an astronaut or whatever for you? She must really love you.
Like, that should have been a big emotional beat in this movie, but it just sort of gets mentioned here. And sure, Elio is yet to accept the truth of that fact, but I feel like we just needed to hear this from Olga herself to make her more of a likable character. Just because she's become her own sister, she's still not that likable. Because at the moment, we've just had her be that annoying mum insert who completely ignored a suspicious transmission, and isn't the mum. I have to imagine that in the original version of the script, his dad still passed away or something, but I'm still confused what was actually gained by the switch. Anyway.
Just get in my mouth.
He indeed gets in his mouth. They ride some lava, and it's back to base for another tick on the modern animated movie bingo, because here's a lame slow motion shot. But then the bargaining plan works in a narratively believable way.
Only if you swear on your Hylargian honor. Oh, on your Hylargian honor.
Winning the faith of the communiverse and their empty designs. However, choosing to stay with Glordon, they do make a pretty solid job of their growing friendship here.
Gravity off?
I would probably say that their chemistry is probably the biggest dub of this movie, and is genuinely quite charming. Unfortunately, Qui-Gon has other ideas to put these new friends in a kind of Fox and the Hound situation.
The princeling was vulnerable. Prepare his carapace.
Yep, prepare for the tragic climax where one of them has to unalive the other, Elio crying in the blood of his once wormy friend. Better get in all the hyperactive fun sequence in there before all of that happens first. Presumably, all those drinks are alcohol-free. Or maybe they're not worried about that in space. Is there like rules on international waters, but international space? It's a full speed run of friendship to make those later events sad, concluded by Elio indoctrinating Glordon into Gen Alpha.
Skittle Papa.
Nice.
And actually, quite a simple yet touching acknowledgement of Elio's parents. They had to mention it at some point.
Something happened to your parents?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I very much ridiculed the parental switch in this story, and presumably, again, this would have just been about his dad originally. But here they do at least handle it in a way that makes it feel like that's all there really needs to be to it in addressing it. No need to go into detail, something happened, and the unabrasive way Glordon asks about it is a pretty solid role model for kids. In general, this is the strongest scene in the movie, even though you can see there was clearly a larger subtext to it that's been taken out. And so because that scene has been switched around, the end result of this strongest scene is still...
What if there's nothing about me to want?
Such loaded lines of genericism, but you can see where those omitted themes once at least fitted in. It's moments like this where I cannot help but feel the tragedy of what happened with the movie and the original director's vision. The potential of what this clearly could have been sticks out like a sore thumb. I'm not surprised the kid feels like this when rewrites took a chunk of his identity out of the equation. It's almost like we're watching the clone version of himself as the protagonist of this movie. His identity diluted out, and this is the best it can act. It's kind of ironic that they did that to this character. Similarly, because it's such a generic scene without the deeper meaning and themes attached, it means the simple response from Glordon is unimpactful because they just say the immediate happy answer with no real kickback.
I like you, and you seem fine to me.
And then we'll start moving on. It's not much of a deeper, longer conversation, and it's such a loss. And as his dad arrives, it's clear Glordon doesn't want to go through with all the blood war stuff. Delivered totally with subtlety in mind, as you can only tell from the vague implication.
I've been pretending to want it, but I've been living a lie.
Okay, he just kind of blurts it out. Thankfully, Elio has a cloning callback up his sleeve.
Would a clone really fool my dad? He's pretty smart.
Along with his mum preferring the clone to make Elio feel sad.
That smells good, papito.
This must be what it feels like to be the less popular twin. As Elio clones through his trauma, the plan is set. Whilst Olga actually has clued on and has the right set of scientific equipment on hand to prove it. I love this. This is great. More of this would have been nice. All leading to...
Hi!
Again, a great sequence, finally showcasing some depth to the mum, aunt. Wonder how hard that would have gone in the original. But clones are in the air as Glordon's clone goes for his initiation.
To make your enemies tremble at the of the high alert.
Onto what it's like trying to do We Will Rock You in a room of people with no natural sense of rhythm. The ceremony is complete, and yet Qui-Gon can also tell something's off.
Where is my son?
Continuing this theme of parental instincts of knowing their children for all of their flaws. And aunties, I guess. Aunties can have parental instincts too, but I don't know if this auntie knows Elio enough yet. They've not been hanging out that long, and also she's distant and always at military job. But sure, I guess she could pick it up. Now to the obligatory everything's revealed scene. We love that one. Yes, Qui-Gon makes the telepath alien read Elio's mind for his son's location, where she of course uncovers that Elio is not the leader of Earth.
He is not the leader of anything. Just
a child.
Oh no.
Again, how many times have we seen this truth is revealed scene? I get it, there are only so many stories out there, but this one just keeps coming back. Aladdin, Lilo and Stitch, Chicken Run, Over the Hedge, Megamind, How to Train Your Dragon, Ratatouille, to an extent, Klaus, and even throw Shark Tale and Cars 2 in there as well. That's just in animation. Otherwise we'd be here all day listing movies. The point is, it's been done. I'm tired of it. 2025, come on. Except this time, the outcome's an intergalactic war, so bit of a biggie.
You've done enough!
Leading us to the moody, dark lit, sad scene.
Don't leave me.
Albeit with some exceptionally animated clowns. And then onto a really solid scene with Olga. Finally, where they implement the doubles really effectively, real Elio posing as his clone.
It just feels so alone.
And framing their reunion this way really does hit its mark.
I've missed everything about you.
When she finally realizes, you do feel this moment. Even on the weaker days, Pixar can still deliver a scene like this. I think Olga's character's ultimately undeserved by this movie, but this scene still hits. Though again, you can see how some of this probably hit different and better in the OG draft.
The only thing I want is you.
And now the action's heading to Earth. Though despite picking up an actual bright red UFO, we're still going with this take.
Like little green men? Don't tell me you believe in that stuff.
Sure, maybe it's something else, but this does read a tad head in the sand given the situation. But hey, it sets up an opportunity for Pixar to make a kid-friendly horror beat. We actually do love those.
Can you help me?
And to be fair, it makes me kind of want a scary Pixar movie.
Run.
They put it off well here, and it did actually make a noise when I watched it in cinemas. This was the only thing that people reacted to. We love when Pixar has their horror elements in there. Toy Story does it a couple times too. And so, with a few biosuits just left on the ground, Elio and Olga go to get Glordon.
Elio? What are you doing here?
Needing to get Glordon home, Olga is now fully pressing the fuck kit button.
You learned Elioese? Schmiggly schmorpy flop!
And into space we go. There's another trope we often find here, where the parent just drops all of their prior characteristics and just goes along with every crazy decision their kid makes. Like heading straight into a galactic war that's kind of their fault. But before that, we have some video game style debris obstacles in place to have a couple of callbacks. Those callbacks being the kid with the radio who felt bad about going along with the bullying.
I don't know anything about debris, but I know someone who does.
And with that Marvel build-up thrown in, we also have...
Vilmac reporting for duty.
There he is. Everyone now in place to give this movie a Star Wars moment. Not a hugely original sequence, but it's fun enough for kids. Does it take away from the parent's not parent characteristic to now be completely diluted and just blindly following? Yeah, she faintly had depth towards the end there, and it's all gone now. Pixar script. Regardless, we gotta wrap up this emotional climax so they're getting all of the action out of their system here. There's even the percentage of doom trope going on to throw in some peril.
Shields at 60%.
And just as it looks like it's game over, the rest of the world gets on the radio too.
Julia from Italia.
This is awesome!
2200.
Bit of international collaboration, proving that this Pixar movie is in fact a piece of fiction. And through some nerds across the world with radios, they clear the debris. Yeah, we'll buy it today. A nice thought in concept, probably better in the original. Allowing Elio to hug his little worm buddy in front of his dad.
Gordon, wake up.
Like Kate Winslet on the Titanic debris. Which leads to the big emotional Pixar act of the movie. Grigon tearing open his own armor to get his son help, whilst Olga mirrors him as she holds Elio. Two parents holding their children. Not parents, it's his mum's sister. Sorry. Parents and guardians. And I like the fact that both their translators are broken and implemented to make this a wordless scene as the two of them reconnect. Just through tender sounds, you can follow exactly what's happening.
Explain yourselves.
Though they do immediately sort out everyone's translators, so short-lived wordless moment, I guess. Just a scene.
I may not always understand, but I still love you.
A timely message that speaks to a lot of intergenerational relationships that, again, make a lot of sense considering the removed scenes of this movie. The ghost of these themes are very much haunting the whole film. It's a warm conclusion to this lukewarm movie, but it could have been so much more.
Congratulations, Ambassador Solis.
But it's all good. Elio gets his little badge as a member of the Communiverse, but turns it down to be with his former mum, so there's something there.
This place is amazing, but Earth is home.
It's all hugs and tears with another message clearly speaking to something else toned down in the movie.
Unique, you are not alone.
followed by a visually stunning, look humans, aliens are real sequence.
We can actually do something besides speculation.
It's still a great message and a heartfelt twist on the classic "we are not alone" we often get from alien stories, but it's hard to overlook what we now know about this movie.
Are we alone?
Seems like this could have been a project that hammered this message home to a group of young people who really need to hear it right now. On the rewatch, you could really see the potential this movie had. I think that some of the issues with the story obviously wouldn't have gone away entirely, such as the imposter trope where the story is pretending to be someone you're not until the big misunderstanding scene totally calls you out. It's the issue that made itself known immediately from that infamous trailer 2 years ago, where we heard the dumb Earth line for the first time. It was like, oh god, we got another movie where the main character's saving face for most of the runtime awkwardly. Love that. However, there are those scenes where you can see some remains of the deeper story that was originally intended here. There was an artist's organic vision that got tampered with massively and taken away from him. The story of this lost character who actively pursues space to find where they belong, yet something's just missing in both the character and the story in this sanitized version. And considering all of what we do get of Elio's character, it feels like a betrayal to the character himself in a weird way. Like his half-baked struggle with acceptance is. As with Pixar's overall programming with double the sequels, this is a story of a movie that was altered at the executive level rather than shown in its authentic form. And that's just not how good Pixar movies are made. It leaves me losing faith in this studio currently, which is just really sad to say. After Wish came out and flopped, Disney Animation was also mandated into sequels on end. And I'm afraid to say that Pixar's terrible disappointment Elio may well be Pixar's Wish moment. But hey, apparently this movie's doing well on Disney+, but considering and I assume most of my audience are big fans of terrible movies, I don't think they're watching it for all the right reasons. Interesting to watch a fiery disaster, especially when it comes out for free. For now, my name's been Daz. Thank you very much for reaching the end of this terrible episode. Do tell us your thoughts on Pixar's Elio now that you can see it so readily available on Disney+. Did you see it in cinemas? I'd love to hear all your thoughts down below, and I shall see you all in a little bit.
Run.
Cheerio!